For this episode, we'll be taking a look at the history of the Grasslands, according to the Marugoto Suikoden. As usual, as the timeline is divided by game, some entries may only be tangentially related to the overall history of the region. Year -2. The hero Hikusaak overthrows the Kingdom of Aronia and founds the Holy Kingdom of Harmonia. Year 1. Hikusaak begins his rule as High Priest, initiating a theocratic government. This year is designated as Year 1 of the solar calendar. Year 407. The Firebringers, a force led by the Flame Champion, emerge in the Grasslands. They cross the border and make an incursion into Harmonian territory. Year 411. A punitive force is dispatched to confront the Firebringers, who have been striking towns and villages within Harmonian territory using guerrilla tactics. Though the Harmonian regular army initially held the advantage, they were drawn into the mountains, where their communications were severed and the whole force was ultimately annihilated. Year 415. The Firebringers successfully infiltrate the One Temple and steal the true Water Rune held within. Year 416. Harmonia invades the Grasslands, abducting 5,000 people. Year 417. The Harmonian Army demands that the Flame Champion surrenders in exchange for the 5,000 prisoners. The Grassland forces, along with the third-class citizens who have rebelled against Harmonia, urge him to refuse. However, the Flame Champion complies and is captured by the Harmonian Army. Year 419. Grassland forces and Harmonian rebels engage in a decisive battle against the Harmonian regular army. However, without the Firebringers, the rebels lack coordination, and the battle ends in a resounding victory for the regular army. In the aftermath, the clans and towns that had joined the rebellion are burned to the ground, and many of their people are reduced to slavery. Year 420. The Zexen Federation is founded under a parliamentary system, centered around Vinay del Zex, a city that achieved independent prosperity as a commercial hub. At the same time, the Zexen Knights are established, formed primarily from Vinay del Zex's existing self-defense forces. Year 421. Territorial disputes spark conflict between Zexen and the various Grassland clans, leading to recurring skirmishes. The Flame Champion succeeds in escaping from Crystal Valley, reportedly with the help of members of the Firebringers. Year 422. Brass Castle is completed in the Zexen Federation and becomes the headquarters of the Zexen Knights. The Firebringers, together with Grassland forces under Harmonian rule, call for the independence of the Grasslands, resulting in a major clash with the Harmonian regional army. During the battle, a mysterious explosion occurs, wiping out the entire Harmonian force. The ensuing blaze is said to have burned for 3 days and burned so bright that it turned night into day. The Grasslands forces also suffer heavy casualties. Year 423. The Zexen Federation Free Merchants Guild is established. Around year 425, the Holy Kingdom of Harmonia launches a full-scale invasion of the Grasslands. In response, the Grassland clans, united under the Flame Champion, band together and successfully repel the invasion. Following the battle, a 50-year non-aggression pact is signed between Harmonia, the Firebringers, and the Grassland clans. At the same time, the 6 clans of the Grasslands, who had been at the center of the conflict, enter into an agreement of mutual defense against future external threats. Additionally, a separate declaration of cessation of hostilities is made between the Flame Champion and Harmonia, resulting in a second treaty in which Hikusaak Castle is designated as jointly held territory between Zexen and the Grasslands. This leads to a treaty between Zexen and the Grasslands, formally establishing their respective borders and restoring peace between them. Year 430. In response to the Firebringers incident, the Harmonian Army establishes the Frontier Defense Force. The Flame Champion disappears from historical records, and the members of the Firebringers disperse. Year 461. Having heard rumors from Leknot, Luc travels to Crystal Valley alone and returns with Sarah. Year 465. The Zexen Federation lays claim to part of Grassland territory, reigniting hostilities between Zexen and the Grasslands. Year 467. An armistice is signed between the Zexen Federation and representatives of the 6 clans of Grassland. Year 470. Chris and Lilly get into a big fight during the ball celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Zexen Federation's founding. Year 471. A Zexen trading caravan is attacked by a group of Lizard Clan members in the Grasslands. A meeting is convened to address the incident, but the Lizard Clan denies responsibility, asserting that the attack is a fabrication by Zexen aimed at territorial expansion. With negotiations breaking down, hostilities resume. Year 472. The Frontier Defense Force of the Holy Kingdom of Harmonia launches an invasion aimed at reclaiming the Highland region. However, fierce resistance from the Dunan Republic and civil unrest at home caused the campaign to fail. As small-scale riots erupt in the eastern region of the Dunan Republic, within the former Highland territory, General Sadrum, commander of the Harmonian Frontier Defense Force, seizes upon this unrest and initiates an unauthorized invasion of Dunan without consulting Crystal Valley. In response, President Teresa dispatches General Boris and Klaus to counter the invasion. It is said that among their forces were veterans who had previously fought with the new Alliance Army. The desperate defense lasts 6 months, ending only when Harmonia's central authority reprimands General Sadrum for exceeding his mandate and orders a halt to the fighting. Year 473. Hostilities between Zexen and the Grasslands intensify. Year 475. Galahad, captain of the Zexen Knights, falls in battle against the Grasslands, and Chris Lightfellow is appointed acting captain. The heroes' war begins in the Grasslands, a conflict centered around the 5 true elemental runes.